Dan Martell is a highly successful entrepreneur, but he wasn't always that way. He was stuck in foster care. He really struggled as a young youth and didn't have people who believed in him. He got into drugs, he got into trouble, he even got into a high-speed chase with the police and almost took his own life. But he got into rehab and got sober and found coding. And he eventually built a company, sold it for millions of dollars, and has built more companies since. He did a lot of personal development. He found the right way, and he figured out how to create a life he loves, and he'll even be a billionaire in his lifetime. Dan is proof that you can start at any place in life and become whoever you want to be. So today I am going to show you and teach you some things from Buy Back Your Time, his best-selling book, where he shares how to buy back your time, how to create a life you love, how to get really strategic with your calendar, with your choices, with your decisions, and to create a life of service, of impact, and of love. I hope this video helps. There's tons of information in it, and I break it down so it's hopefully easier to understand and to absorb. I hope it helps you in your life. If you want more videos on mastering your money, your mindset, your habits, and your emotions along the way to create a life you love, feel free to click subscribe. Okay, so the more you work on your business, on your goals, the more actions I take, in theory, we think the better the results will be. So we're going to get to success, right? But Dan says that the more busy you are and the more you do, it doesn't necessarily lead to success or happiness or health or being fulfilled and feeling good. And so he teaches us to buy back the time that we have, okay? Because we only have 24 hours in a day. And so instead of just continuing on and on and on and draining ourselves and just being depleted, he teaches us how to buy back these things. So maybe we only have to work here, and then we can outsource or delegate or do this part more efficiently. I assume that even if you want to be successful, you want to make money, you want to have a business that thrives and that's good, you probably also want to have health, you probably want to have a happy family, a happy marriage, you probably want good things and good relationships. So you want to actually feel good in your heart, to be healthy. And Dan starts the book off talking about someone who's like just in total dis-ease. And so this will help us get all the results we want in a good way. Okay, Dan talks about the pain line. Okay, so what is this? So imagine if we have our week. Okay, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we have, wake up at 4 or whatever. We have all this time, okay? But if we are just bogged down, like I talked about earlier, bogged down, or we're not using it efficiently and effectively, eventually we're going to reach that pain line like we were talking about just a minute ago. And that is when growth becomes impossible. Okay? Even the most determined, the most focused, persistent, hardworking, like all of those good things, even those people, the most relentless, reach this point, reach this line. Everybody reaches this line where maybe mentally, they have a strong mind. We talk about mindset on this channel. They can do it. But it's not just about the mind. Eventually, your body is like, hey, help me. Okay, listen to me. And might shut down. And so Dan talks about in the beginning of the book about all these people who have about 12 direct reports and at least $1 million in revenue. But all these people, something fails. Their heart fails. Their body fails. Something goes wrong. And so we want to figure out here, because this is our life. Everybody has the same 24 hours. Everybody has the same time. Everybody has a body. We all have different ones, but everybody has a body and a brain. So how can we boost the brain? How can we be strategic? How can we take care of our body while also going for our goals, going to serve people, making money, and using this time effectively? Before we get into a few principles that can help us, I want to mention sell, sabotage, and stall. So these are 3 things that Dan says the entrepreneurs do when they're at their pain line and it hurts them and their business. Okay, so for example, in 2020, this hardworking couple came to Dan and said, we're done. They had built a $6 million business, but they had lost like friendships, relationships, health. They were miserable, sad, all these things, right? And so obviously at some point, it's not worth it. This 6 million, but then all this pain and probably even more so wasn't worth it. And so you can grind, you can work, but eventually you're going to make other things extinct. And so don't just sell because you feel desperate to get out of this situation. Obviously, when you have enough pain, a person wants to stop and they're like, I want this pain to stop, like stop my pain, right? And so that's why they then decide to sell. So anytime you feel like selling or you feel like you want to quit, that's a time to look at, oh, I might be reaching my pain line and I might need to make a new choice. So maybe you don't have a business, but maybe there is something in your life that is causing all of this pain and it's a chance that you want to sell or quit or stop. It's a opportunity to kind of look at some of these principles, audit your time and your calendar to make a change. The second part of this is sabotage. And so people might sabotage when the growth is actually getting bigger. So it's not like a lot is going wrong, but they're like, oh, wow, we started with this tiny company and now look, we're growing. Oh gosh, that's going to require me to get stronger and bigger and better. And that is scary and that is too much. And so they self-sabotage, right? Like they might focus on things that aren't helpful. They might focus on like urgently feeling like they need to totally add all these new products in, even though they have one that is clearly working. Or they decide to drag their feet on a decision, right? And you do need to think about your choices and your decisions, but here's a choice. It's right here. You need to grab it. But if you let it slip away, it's gone, right? And then you actually might kill this momentum. And so you're getting momentum, but then you're actually going to kill it. And then you start going into a downward trajectory. And so people subconsciously do this. It's not intentional. In life, you want to be intentional, but catch yourself if you're starting to you have something that maybe is starting to work and then you freak out or you stop or you're like, yay, this is good enough. Be mindful of that self-sabotage. You might be hitting the pain line. Lastly is stall. So you get so overwhelmed, you reach this pain line and you're like, I'm done. I am done. I am going to stop. I'm going to slow down. So maybe you don't actually quit, but you stop, slow down, and then you decide, I'd rather have a small company. Or with your goals, I'd rather achieve less. I wanted to achieve all of this, but you know what? This is okay. You're settling, right? And so the reason you settle is because it got to be, it's like, you're worried it's going to be too big for you or too much. And so instead, these are all signals. I always say feelings are signals, but if you can notice this and notice that, hey, I want to sell, I want to quit. Hey, I want to sabotage, I'm doing good things, but I'm getting in my own way or I'm making bad decisions. Hey, I'm stalling. I'm okay just settling. I'd wanted to achieve this fitness goal, but I'm okay now settling for something less. Be aware of that because then you can notice and then you can start implementing some of these principles that I'm about to teach you. The difference between winners and losers. I'm going to be talking about this more on my channel, but James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. It's a bestseller for a reason. But you do not rise to the level of your goals, okay? You do not. You don't just rise automatically. You fall to the level of your systems. So what is a system? It's this process that you have in place, okay? And so if you want to achieve this outcome, we want to get healthy, okay? And fit and strong and lean, okay? What is the system, also known as some habits? You have a system for the habits to get this outcome. Like what needs to go here to get here, okay? And so we want to be thinking of systems. Systems thinking will get you money, happiness, freedom, success, all of those things. And so that's what Dan's going to talk about in this book and with some of these principles. But always think about this. Your habits get your outcomes. And so what habits are helping you? I would make a list right now. So which habits right here are helping you? I recently just did an audit and I was like, this habit is really good. So maybe it's certain meals you're eating. Maybe it's I'm working on my YouTube videos. Okay. And also I don't just have my YouTube videos. I have a system and I have a process. I have a day where I do it. Maybe it's on a Saturday. I batch the content. So instead of just doing one video, I might do 5, 6, 7, 8 videos. Okay. And then you have a system for editing or a system for who is employed by you. Okay. A system for uploading. We schedule things, etc. But what habits are helping you and then what is getting in your way so you can remove it and so you can create a better system for yourself. Your habits create your outcomes, which creates your what? Life. So if you don't like your life right now, take a look at your habits, your systems, and either what you're doing or what you're not doing. Okay, let's get into some of the meat and some of the principles. So the buyback loop. Okay, we're gonna learn about the buyback loop. The goal is if you were spending all this time, okay, and you're feeling drained and overwhelmed, our goal is to figure out the good things. So what is good? What do you like? What's helping you? What's giving you energy? Okay, what's maybe like caution? Ooh, maybe I should stop doing this, or this isn't really helping me. And then red, okay, these things are just really draining me, really not helping me, and better yet, there's a solution. So remember this, there's always a solution to the things. Like, hey, let's identify what we're doing, keep doing that, and maybe double down on that and do more of that. But then when we start feeling this, we can catch that. And if we've gotten here, there's a solution. We can fix this. We can use the buyback loop and a lot of other principles that we're going to learn. So the buyback loop is about auditing your time. Okay. I just did this recently. I'm always doing this, but you want to audit your time. So you want to look at your schedule and go through and determine what are the habits or the tasks that are low value and that suck your energy. Okay? So what are those things? So you're going to go through and figure out those tasks and make a list. This sucks my energy, this sucks my energy, this sucks my energy. Okay? Then you're going to transfer those tasks. Okay? And so optimally, you're going to do the transfer to someone who is one of two things: better at it, okay, and they enjoy it. Okay, so we found these low value tasks in here, or the things that are starting to bother us. Okay, then we write them down, and then we figure out, okay, now what can I do here? So even you can do this in your regular life with grocery shopping. Okay, some entrepreneurs even do it with gas. So whatever it is, or making dinners, maybe you can outsource that, right? Hey, let's get rid of that. Dinners, grocery shopping, it's not helping me get to spend more time with my kids or achieve the goals that I want. So how can I outsource that? I know I didn't go to a grocery store for like 2 or 3 years. Part of that was COVID, but I didn't. And that saved me a ton of time. Or even dinners, simplifying them, or finding meal prep, doing meal prep yourself, finding a delivery service, whatever it is, you want to transfer it and get rid of it. Because what you'll see is if you had this whole thing filled up, right, eventually you're going to be freeing up some of that space. So now you all of a sudden have all this extra space for nothing, not just sitting on the beach doing nothing, unless that's what you really want. But you can fill it with more of those high energy things, those good things that actually fill you up and make you feel good. And so the first thing of the buyback loop is find those low value tasks. Second, you want to transfer them to someone who's better at it and enjoys it. And then third, you want to fill with higher value tasks. Okay, higher value things that make you feel better. And Sarah Blakely, the billionaire founder of Spanx, and she has a new company, Sneaks, but it's your zone of genius. So it can also be that Ikigai, if you've ever seen the Ikigai chart. It's the intersection, like right here, of all of these things. It's what you're good at. I have a video on this too if you're interested. What you love, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. Okay? And so if you find the intersection of those things, like what are you good at, what do you love, and what does the world need? Like the zone of genius. So she was, and this is also Ikigai. I think the zone of genius is more these three. See? These three. Okay? But when you find this, when you find your zone of genius, hey, I'm really good at sales. Or me, I love to do some of this brainstorming and thinking of content and what I want to share. And then I'm the only one who can share it. Other people can, of course, create the content, but for my channel, I'm the one who can share. Other people could edit. Other people could even script if they really wanted to, but other people can do other things. So I want to stay in where I can inspire, where I can teach, where I can learn, and then serve. If I'm in this area and some of the creativity and the ideas, if I'm in this zone, I'm good. Now, if there's other things, I might be decent at it, but I want to stay in my zone of genius. And so that's where we can do so many tasks. And as entrepreneurs or as parents or people, you do so many tasks because you have to do them at first. And usually it requires money or being strategic. Doesn't always require money, but being strategic to kind of get rid of some of these things, right? But anyone can do this. Anyone can learn how to stay more in their zone of genius or their zone of happiness and fulfillment, right? Because we want to feel good. We want to enjoy life. It doesn't mean we only can do happy things and we never have to do hard things. That's not the point. But we want to stay more in that good zone. So Dan has this nice drawing, okay? This is our buyback loop, okay? So just to get this stuck in our heads, this is a big thing he teaches. Are you feeling pain? I teach about awareness, emotional intelligence. Notice. Did you notice? Because some people don't even notice the pain. And then there's so much pain and it's really hard to get out of it. But we notice our pain. Then we need to decide to audit and go through what are those low value tasks and draining, energy sucking. Then we transfer them. Hey, this isn't going well for me. Let me find someone who's better and enjoys it. Okay. And then we fill it with, we have now all this extra time. Let's fill it with the things, our zone of genius, what we're good at and what we enjoy, and something more high value. Like if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing things like getting groceries, or doing laundry, like maybe you really want to do that, but that isn't the best use of your time, right? You probably want to hang out with your kids. That's a better use of your time. Building your business, like doing something more valuable in your business, that is going to be a much better use of your time. So this is the buyback loop. Use it. Okay, let's talk about Oprah. All right, Dan talks about Oprah and talks about her childhood and the struggles that she faced. And so Dan had struggles too. Dan didn't just like start out and like, hey, I'm going to be a billionaire soon and I have a great family. I'm really healthy. Everything's good. And so all these people like don't just say, well, it's easy for them. Okay. Everyone starts off as a person and most people have good things happen to them and there's also bad things. And so even the people who seem the happiest, who seem the most successful, they might have had advantages, but a lot of times there's people who have had really, really rough and horrible times and horrible things. And they decided to rise above it, to succeed in spite of it, and to get better instead of complain and whine and take themselves down. And so just know that. I want you to know that. But with Oprah, she has a day where Dan maps out her schedule like 7:01. I wake up in nature, wake in nature. And then 8 a.m., brush teeth and walk dogs. And then I get to enjoy some meditation. And then I get to work out, okay, etc. It goes through and it has a lot of things she wants to do. And then maybe at like 11 o'clock, there is some business matters that she does. Okay, for a couple of hours. I did skip some time here, but she does things for a couple of hours. And then she gets to go back and maybe does something else that she wants to do. And so amazing. Isn't that what you would want with your life? If you buy back your time, you eventually get to do more of what you want. Like Dan wake surfs at the lake and he has this boat and he's just crushing it. And he's like wake surfing and doing flips and tricks, but then he's on the path to be a billionaire. You don't need to be a billionaire, but wouldn't you want to have time? Have you ever driven through town during the day and there's all these people like out and about and you're like, wait, why aren't you working? Like, look at all this time. Even if you have kids, you're spending all this time and like maybe you're stuck at a job. Okay, maybe you like that job, but how can we buy back our time so that we can get more time for what we want to do? Because you could get to a point where you're working 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, and then you have so much more time freed for what you love and what you want, okay? It is gonna take the initial work and sacrifice, but you don't have to fully be working 24 hours a day. If you can start with the buyback loop sooner, you're gonna free up more time, and maybe you're gonna replace it with other tasks that will help you and that will make you more money, so then sooner you can get to this place. So you want more time, right? You want some more strategies. Let's take a look at the drip matrix. Okay, it looks kind of like Foursquare, but this is the drip matrix. There's 4 components, which is replacement. Okay, we want to replace. Production has to do with creation. Delegation, outsourcing, getting rid of. Investment. Those are the 4. Now, some of these are going to make us money. So here, make you money. This side is going to make you money. This side lights you up. So not everything's about making money, right? But this is our drip matrix. Goal with the drip matrix is to see what makes you money. Okay. What's going to make you money? How valuable is a task? What do you actually enjoy? And in general, where are things that are either working or not working? So the tasks that you're going to find in delegation is the things that make you a little bit of money and that drains your energy. Okay. So this is the like energy suck stuff. Okay. And it's low value. So it's not bringing in a ton of money to you. So for example, if you paid someone $100,000 a year to do a job, but then they were doing something like spending 6 hours cleaning windows, you would be like, what are you doing? Like, let's get rid of these 6 hours. You need to be focusing on this $100,000 task. And so many people focusing, and myself included, on things that are more the energy suck or the low value. So think about it. What are things that are energy sucks and low values, kind of like what we talked about in the buyback loop? And then you can delegate this. Delegate it to somebody else. Delegate is to transfer the task to someone else. You don't need to do it. You need to focus on other things. This next part is replacement. So it makes you money. These are more high value, okay? And they bring in a lot of money. But the thing is, it's not low value. You just don't like it, okay? It doesn't light you up like a light bulb, okay? And so that's where you want to replace this side as well and get rid of it, because it is not going to help you. If you're in low energy, if you are miserable, you are not using your time for the things like we talked about earlier for your zone of genius. So if you're noticing things are bringing in money, but it's not helping you, like YouTube, they talk about editing, but like Matt Diavella, he's an amazing YouTuber. Check him out. But he decided to do some of this buybacking stuff. He decided like, I'm going to delegate, I'm going to replace. And here he had the replacement because editing was really high value because he does really, really good editing and like cinematography and like movie styles. But he replaced it and then it actually made him happy. See here, it doesn't bring you happiness. And so then he got more sad and his business actually didn't do as well. So you have to be careful. Like, people will say outsource your editing, but maybe that is a key part to his business because his videos are known for the edits and he was actually really good at it and he enjoyed it. And so that's where it's on this side. You don't want to get rid of it because that is his zone is genius, right? But there's some people who are just so energized, so good, and their editing really doesn't matter. So that's where you can outsource it. So just be mindful, because something that maybe you're like, I should replace this, I should get rid of this, but it brings you the joy, it brings you this fulfillment, and you're good at it, maybe it's worth keeping it. Maybe it's worth it. So just something to think about, because some people like outsource everything and then they're miserable, and not everyone wants to be the billionaire. Not everyone wants to get to that point. And so just finding your balance. Okay. Investment is one of my favorite ones. This is where it's the activities that aren't going to bring you money. So no money, but they light you up and they make you feel good. So this is like stuff around your health. Like going to the gym isn't inherently like making me money, but we would argue that if you do some of the things in the investment category, you're investing in your health, which like for Dan, when he started investing more in his health, he actually became wealthier, richer, and people took him more seriously, right? And he felt better, and it's really good. He has ADHD, and just anyone, I have tons of videos on my channel about intelligence and energy and exercise. Like, it's so powerful for you. But even your hobbies, like this could fill you up. Jesse Itzler, one of my mentors, talks about how someone taught him to take 3 hours a day cumulatively. So maybe you can't just take like from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Maybe you can't take that, but you could take 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Then you could take maybe 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then you could take like maybe 2 to 4 p.m. So there's 4 hours there. Take that time for you to do something that fills you up, whether that's exercise, whether that's spending time with someone you love. Okay. It might not make you money, but not everything is about the money. And when you fill yourself up, you're going to have more to give and you're going to be a more high value person. And also here, personal and professional development. Okay. Like maybe you take that time to read a book. That's not going to make you money right away, but you're investing because eventually it could make you more money. Like when I read certain financial books, like we became so much wealthier and tripled, quadrupled our net worth just by investing in a book that in theory, I'm not making money right now. I'm just reading. But eventually reading this made me more of this and made me happier. Okay. Production. This is where you are happy, you enjoy the tasks, and they make you money. Okay, so we want to be more on this side of the quadrant. Sorry, it's getting really congested, but you want to be on this side. You want to be in the zones that are making you feel good and happy. Okay, and so with production, he had a client or he had a buddy named Chris who's a fitness guru. Okay, and he was just training clients in person, and it was really like sucking his time. But eventually he started using social media and he didn't spend too much time on it. But eventually, by spending the time there, he eventually grew his following and grew his clientele and makes over $1.5 million a year. And that was a much better use of his time because it brought in money and it made him happy. Like he wanted to help people. But that's the power of social media. It's really hard to do, but it can help bring you more people and it can help you still do what you love. Like I love to teach. I love to share. I love to help and serve. And I've been able to help more people by getting online. So where are the tasks that bring you the most happiness, but that also bring you the most money? Alex Hormozy, creating these books and things make him the most money. So he just spends most of his time writing. And he just came up with a launch and he made over $100 million in one day because he focused on the books, the creating, and he outsourced everything else. And then he made $100 million or more in one day. One key thing Dan wants you to know, he wants you to remember, hey, you remember this, please. We are not just trying to get rid of everything. Okay, remember I talked about Matt D'Avella, who he did outsource something, the video editing, right? But that was something that brought him so much joy and that he was good at. Okay, so it's not because we're just trying to get rid of everything or just trying to grow. Like for Matt, like, hey, let's grow our business. No, like we want time. Okay. And some things are going to take our time and that is okay. Eventually, if you're doing a lot of the things that you do enjoy and that makes you money, but you are like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. Maybe that is where you could get help and support, but don't just get rid of everything that you enjoy just for the sake of growth, because you're actually going to kill your growth if you kill you. So you don't want to kill you. You don't want to kill like your spirit or your enjoyment or your fulfillment, right? Or your health. If you kill those things, that's killing you, which then ultimately kills whatever goals, outcomes, or whatever business you have. So besides loving something, getting fulfillment and enjoying it, the other part of this is people struggle with it's not 100%. I am the best at this, or I love how I do it. Okay, that's fine. But at some point, Dan says 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome. It's awesome. Okay, so getting to that point. So you might say, well, they're at like 50%. That's where you're gonna do work, and it does take time to figure out who to hire, who's the right person, etc., right? And you could also eventually teach someone to get closer to this 100%. And there's strategies you can do. Even with teaching, like we model behaviors. So even you could create, like you could record something exactly how you do something. This is exactly how I do it. You might be taking out someone else's creativity, but if you record it or if you write a little system booklet like directions, like, hey, here's 1 through 20. This is exactly the process you need to follow. You're going to get closer to 100%. They're still not you, but thinking about this, like, we can be the control freaks or perfectionists, and that's fine. And if you want to do that, great. But ultimately, remember, our most valuable asset is us and our time. We only have 24 hours in a day. So at some point, we have to let things go so that we can let other things rise and get more of what we want. The next question is, okay, this sounds great. I'm ready to buy back my time, but how can I afford it? Okay, this is great. This is what rich people think. They don't think like, I can't. They say, how can I? So that's great that you're at this point. Like, okay, how? Tell me how. So Dan says your time is worth how much your business pays you. So how much it pays you, okay, divided by 2,000 hours. Okay? Simple enough. And if you don't have a business, this can literally just be your job. Like if you're trying to outsource for your family, like even I, like having kids, like I want to spend more time with them. I want to spend time with my kids, or you might want to spend more time with your projects, whatever it is, or on your health, but you have a full-time job. So that is where you can delegate things based on how much does your job pay you divided by the 2,000 hours. Let's look at an example. So there's this gal, Tina. She has a nice business. It pays her about $200,000 a year, okay? And so then we would divide that by 2,000, because there's about 2,000 work hours per year. That's how we get these 2,000 hours, because that's the amount of work hours that there are. And when you divide it, that's $100 per hour, okay? And then after that, you find this, you want to divide it by 4, which is, dun, 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 $25. So if you, and this is per hour, if you can outsource a task, if Tina can, for $25 an hour or less, that is worth it, okay? That is worth it. If it's not, then there's other things we can do, but you want to look at this. So we take your time equals how much do you get paid? So if you and your husband get paid $180,000 a year, right? Then you would divide that by the 2,000 hours. And let's take a look at that. All right, let's take a look. So $180,000 divided by 2,000, that's 90, divided by 4, about $22.50, okay? So you can do that. Okay, so if it costs you less than this to outsource dinner or like a meal prep service, it's probably worth it. If it costs you this to outsource some task and you get 2 hours back with your kids, it's probably worth it, right? And so this is the formula I want you to use, and then divide it by that 4. And just so you have a nicer little formula here, it's income divided by 2,000 hours. It's usually how much people work. And if you work less than that, maybe you can divide your time differently and then divide it by the 4. So like we had $200,000 divided by 2,000 hours divided by 4 equals $25 an hour. Now, Dan says, everybody has a buyback rate. Even if you only make $50,000 a year, everybody starts somewhere, right? So you can still apply this formula. Okay, you're just going to come out to about $6.25 an hour. So it's not as much, but how can you work with what you got for right now? If I'm making $180,000 a year, okay, and then I divide that by the 2,000 hours, and then I divide that by 4, okay? That is about $20 an hour, okay? And so remember, it's the hourly rate. So like say, let's just use YouTube. Say it takes 5 hours to edit one video, okay? And if I'm posting 3 a week, that's 15 hours, okay? And so 15 hours, I would get 15 hours back of my time. Okay? 15 times 20, $300. Okay? But I'm going to get more back with my time. Now, ideally, you would use this time to go work on more profitable tasks that you enjoy. Okay? But like I said, you can do this in your life with just things that you want to fill your investment bucket with. Remember, our investment bucket is things that just bring us pure joy. And so that health, relationships, even investing in knowledge, which I would argue that eventually will bring you more money, etc. All right, and the teacher in me right now wants you to do your homework. What is your buyback rate? And so either write this down, save it, or calculate it right now. Figure it out. Remember, your income divided by 2,000 divided by 4. Find it out. Let's move on. Okay, so let's move on to something a little different. I actually like this part of the book. So it talks about childhood, okay? Now, I studied human development, like all this stuff. And so we don't want to just blame childhood. I had a great childhood, great parents, all that stuff, but not everyone does. And everybody has moments. Even I had moments that were hard, right? And so Dan talks about using what happened in childhood to your advantage. And if you haven't read the book, The Unfair Advantage, I do have a video on that to find your unfair advantage. It's so helpful. But every weakness or struggle can be used as a positive. So let's look at this. So if you came home to an untidy house, okay, that's normal for some people, but for not for everybody. I know my friend commented on this because we always had a really clean house. My mom was so clean and organized, and she's like, I wish ours was like this. But a positive would be that you can probably function well in disorganization. Okay. So like you were used to that. Maybe you don't like that, or maybe you're the opposite, but you figured it out. And so with something hard, with a goal, it is not easy. It isn't easy. And so if you can handle the disorganization, the discomfort, that is going to be to your advantage. Another thing, if you were forced to solve weird problems, or like you had to provide emotional comfort to your siblings or something like that, then you probably have like this problem solving mindset. I know I experienced a lot of like understanding people's emotions as I grew up, just with so many different people in my life and understanding them. And so that has helped me build a stronger emotional IQ and intelligence, which I talk about on my channel. But I think this has really, really helped me in my life. I can just really understand people. Not everyone, but I can usually connect and have empathy and kind of be in someone else's shoes, which is a really, really helpful skill. Maybe you couldn't depend on adults for basic needs like, hey, a ride to practice, or something like super simple, or a meal, okay? You can manage excess responsibility. Okay, like you shouldn't have to do some of those things. Like, you know, I get teaching independence. I'm all about independence, but some of these things, you know, you didn't need to deal with, but you did. And so now you're probably more responsible and you're better able to handle these things. You've maybe dealt with abnormal stress. Stress is normal, but there's abnormal stress. You can probably deal with more complex issues and problems. Okay, and so even if you're like, well, I can't, I had all this stress and now I'm a freaking mess, okay? That's okay. But we can use the struggles and the setbacks to actually be our advantage, our pro, and to make us stronger. And so I always say to let your setbacks be your springboards. And so it's all in our mind and how we choose to see things. Okay, how are we going to see things? Because we could say, oh, this was horrible, horrible. Okay, what's the good in this? How can I use this to my advantage? Because I dealt with it. Complaining about it isn't going to help. So now what can I do to rise instead? Your life does not have to equal stress. It does not have to equal sadness. It does not have to equal unnecessary pain. Okay, this is your choice. This is your choice to continue to be stressed, to continue to be sad, to continue to be in pain. Are we going to feel it and then make a change so we can get better? Or are we going to feel this and then let it take us even further down and not get money and not get happiness, etc.? We have to use these things to make us get out of them, make us stronger, make us better. Smile, smile, smile. You guys are successful. You guys are crushing it. If you've made it this far, you're doing awesome. I hope these videos are helpful to you, but we're going to talk about the 5 assassins, the killers that kill your success. Okay? Everyone is able to be successful. Everyone. Okay? But we can all get better and we need to avoid these things. All right. The first thing is the staller. These are the assassins. So the staller would be you sabotage your own success by hesitating. Okay? People thrive with quick decisions. You can inform yourself. So every day I'm learning, I'm getting smarter, I'm getting better, and I'm preparing myself because then, a decision comes up. I need to make a quick decision for the success of the business, but oh no, I'm going to hesitate and stall. Okay? So you do need to think about things, but you don't have to just sit there and stall and hem and haw. Hopefully you did the preparation so that you can make an easy decision. But you're killing your success when you stall, when you hesitate, when the opportunity knocks and you're not ready. Okay, we talk a lot about creating your own luck, but being ready for when luck strikes as well. Okay, I know even I had someone for YouTube that they had thousands of subscribers and they wanted to interview me and bring me on their channel. And I kind of it was months and months ago and I was not ready and I froze and didn't take advantage of the opportunity. So I hesitated, I stalled. And of course I could reach out to him now and see if he's still interested, but that could have brought more people to the channel who could have benefited from this. But I hesitated, I stalled, I doubted, right? And so don't do that. That's going to kill your success. And we don't want to kill success. We want to get more of it. Number 2, the speed demon. Okay. That means they think you got to go quick, 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 quick. They're a sprinter and they're just going. That is actually not going to help you get successful. You are falling prey. This is when maybe you need to make a quick decision, but then you're going too fast and you're not actually thinking through. You're I need to hire this person. Okay. Hey, you random person. All right, hire. And then they don't take the time and then things fall apart and they wonder, why the heck is this falling apart? Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Okay. And so you really want to think critically, but then make your decision. So you don't want to stall, but then you also don't want to go boom, 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 and not even think about it. You have to think critically and be intentional with your choices and with your life. If you want to have success, right? You don't just magically pick the first thing. Okay? You want to actually think through it. For example, I was even with YouTube, just posting every single day. And I was posting in a dark room and I wasn't thinking critically about it. And so that's fine, but it's not fine. If I want to be more pro, if I want to actually teach, I'm a teacher, I need to have a better background. I need to have better videos, And so I'm even thinking of transitioning soon to making sure my quality is even better. The quantity doesn't matter if your quality isn't good. And remember the classic story about the tortoise and the hare. Okay? Turtle wins the race. It doesn't mean you just go slow, 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 but be willing to go, okay, I need to do X, Y, Z, or X, Y, Z, as I hear a lot of people say in Europe. I need to do, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, all of these things, but you can't just force it to happen right now. You might have to take the time to go through these things, and eventually you'll get through the whole alphabet and get the result you want, but you might have to take a little bit of a more methodical, slower pace, but you're still consistently acting. Supervisor. This is another assassin. So if you hire someone to do the job, you bought back your time, okay? You were okay, I want someone to clean for me for 5 hours every 2 weeks or whatever it is, okay? But then you're cleaning before the cleaners come and you're spending an hour or two doing that. I know so many people who do that. Or you were you can't focus and you didn't take your time back and go do something else, you're like watching them and supervising them. Hey, how's it going? Did you get that nook and cranny? That isn't helping. Okay. And so this could be really hard, but that's where you have to make your training better. You have to, or let go of some of the control, right? Because that's wasting your time. And that's not only wasting your time, it's also wasting your mental energy. And I know that can be something for me and a lot of people that struggle. Maybe you aren't working on it, but your mind is working on it. And so that's not helping you either. The next part is the saver. Okay. This is where you're only saving money and you're not investing it. Okay. And so this is great. Like my husband and I built hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands, plus, okay, by saving. But then we also started investing, okay? And now we're even doing more levels where we're investing not just in like something like the stock market, but you invest in your skills, your business, your value, what you're offering, okay? And then that's gonna be an even bigger return. And so don't just be a saver. I saved and that worked to a point, but I could have been even wealthier and better off if I would have done the investing part of it as well, okay? You want money, you don't want to spend it all, but you can invest it and make it work for you better. And lastly, the self-medicator. Okay. This isn't good. This is where it's drugs, alcohol, food, anything. There's so many more to this list, but things that are numbing pain, numbing these things, this is not going to help you. So you want to avoid this. You want to feel the feelings. I'm a huge advocate to feel the feelings and then figure out what are the healthy things you can do to make yourself feel better instead of drowning yourself in other things. It isn't going to help you to actually be successful. It might feel good for a minute. It might help you, but you're not actually building the strength to handle the problems that you need to handle. So we want to avoid this. If you want to be this person, you are here and you want to be them, okay? You want to be happy. You want to be in love. You want to have beautiful family, good relationships. You want to be nice and healthy and strong, okay? At peace, very wealthy. You want to give back, okay? You have to face you. Face you, face the demons, face this stuff. You're never going to get here if you don't do this. And I did a ton of that inner work. I'm still doing it. I'm going to be doing it the rest of my life. But when I actually faced myself, looked at myself, and instead of like drowning it out with the alcohol, with food, with whatever that people do, right? Or numbing the pain or just avoiding it, face it. It's an opportunity to grow, get better, and improve, right? And so always go back to you. Like your external world is a reflection of your internal world. So the more you do the work on the inside of you, the more you do the work here, the more likely you will be to be in this zone. And that's what I want for all of you. So face your demons, face you. This will come to you. We all need money. Right? That's why I teach about it, okay? I've seen so many amazing people, but they struggle because they did not have this. They did not have the money. And so therefore, their outcomes in life and enjoyment of life was not what it could be, okay? And I hated that. So we don't need money to be the master, but as I always say, money is a master if you don't have any of it, okay? So anyways, we're gonna talk about the 3 trade levels. Okay, because at some point we do have to trade something for money. Okay, we need the money. That's part of how the world works. We're gonna have to trade something. So the level 1 trader is an employee. Employees, where you at? Nothing wrong with this, by the way. Nothing wrong. Level 2 trader, entrepreneur. Always make sure I spell it right. And then empire builder. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now, the employee trades time for money. Okay, we've heard of this, we know this, that if you have 8 hours a day and you make a certain amount of money. Okay, maybe you make $25 an hour for 8 hours. Boom, that's your result, right? And so maybe there's a job you can work overtime, or, you work the same amount of time, but you might get a bonus or something. That's great. But at the end of the day, that's why people go, okay, I'm an employee. I only have 24 hours in a day. I'm going to work 8 hours. Some people work more than that, 15 or whatever. And okay, I can make this much as a barista. I can make this much as a teacher. I can make this much in finance. I can make this much as a surgeon. Okay, so obviously, if you're going to spend the same amount of time, 8 hours, who wants to make $25 versus same 8 hours, I make $400? Okay, clearly that's why some people, we try to get this job, okay? But that is the premise of an employee, is that you're trading your time for eventually some type of money. And depending on your job, it's more money or less money. Entrepreneur is where you are buying time for more money. So if you are the one who created a business or created something, entrepreneurs at first sometimes wear every hat and they're every person. But eventually, if you can get rid of some of these things, you are getting your time back and you're getting money. And so some people like that, where it's I know my inputs, I can put my inputs and I have control of that. Like an employee, you control your inputs, but you have to be there for a certain amount of time. With entrepreneurship, there's more flexibility in the system. The last is the empire builder, okay? And so this is where people like Oprah or Richard Branson, they have these empires. They've bought back their time completely. This is where you trade your money for more money, okay? So it's not just buying the time, it's the money for money. Okay. And that is how Warren Buffett can just spend most of his day reading, and he loves it. He just gets to read. Okay. But it's because he built the empire. At some point, when you have enough of this, you can trade it for more of this. Okay. You might have to start as an employee. You might move to the entrepreneur. That's going to be tough, but you can maybe then eventually move to the empire builder. And so just knowing that this is the system and how things operate can help you. Because if you just think, oh, this is the only way, or you grew up in entrepreneurship, you're like, this is the only way, you don't know the options. I want to teach you all the options so you can figure out what's best for you in your life. I think the whole goal, especially with the empire builder, is the amount of time, the amount of energy, and the amount of options. And I would say that goes with freedom. If you ever read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, okay, where it's oh, I'm only going to work 4 hours a week. That was really intriguing to people, especially with that 9 to 5 grind. And they're like, oh my gosh, think about that. If you're working 9 to 5 and you have to commute before this, and then you get home later, and then you decide to have a family, when the heck are you going to get to spend time with your family? When the heck are you going to work out? When the heck are you going to do these things? And so that's where, I get it. We need money, but that's where I just, I'm a teacher, so my schedule's a little bit better, and working 7 hours. And then obviously I get so much time off in the summer for holidays and things. When do you get time for your family and for other things that matter to you? And maybe your job, you just love it so much, and that's amazing. I want more people to do that. And a lot of people do like this, but I just got older and realized there's a problem here. There's a problem here. No wonder so many people are miserable and depressed and sad. And if you are feeling that way, don't be discouraged, because for me, I realized, oh my gosh, there's a better way, but I'm here. I need to get over here. But I can't just magically jump here. And that's where people get depressed or sad or upset. But it's realizing, okay, there is a way out. I'm here. No matter how old you are, you can still get here. It's just going to take time, effort, energy, and all of those things. And that's what I help with on this channel. But don't freak out if you're not here yet, okay? No, you can build an empire. You can be an entrepreneur. You can find other ways in time. Okay, one thing you could do is a calendar audit. I recommend this to everyone. I know some of this is like for entrepreneurs or business people or whatever, just someone wanting to manage their money better. But I think this can all help with managing your life better if you choose to apply it from that lens. But do a calendar audit. Okay, we talked about how like there's low value things, high value things. But seriously, where do you spend your money and where do you spend your time or attention? Okay, that shows a lot about what you're valuing. So if I value my family, husband, kids, okay, if I value my health, if I value service and giving back and like sharing, if I value education and knowledge, okay, which these are things I highly value, right? And then I value those things for my kids and stuff too. But like, if I were to look at my calendar and I'm at a job all day and I'm not spending time with my family, I'm not spending time with my husband, I'm not spending time with my kids, I'm not helping them with their goals and their health and their things, I'm not serving, I'm not sharing, I'm not learning, I maybe get a little bit of time at the gym, that is cause for concern and cause for change. Not like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. But even now, I just did another calendar audit like a week ago, and I realized I needed to change because it wasn't where I value things. My calendar wasn't reflecting that. And look at your bank account too. If you say you value, your health, are you spending money on your health? Are you spending money on healthy food and healthy things? Are you spending money to serve, right? Are you spending money on your kids to help support them in their life and their goals or to make memories as a family, right? Are you spending money on your knowledge so you can get better skills? Are you spending money on your kids' education and knowledge? Like I'm happy to buy any educational tools or Lego sets or things that help my kids in their education and their knowledge and get better. So do a calendar audit where your money's going and do a bank account audit too. A bank account audit. And I get it. Maybe it's really hard and you're like, I have to spend all my money on bills. I don't value that. But think, if you are spending it on a nice shelter, that is helping your family. That is helping those things too. And so where can you start to add more of where your values are with your money and your time and attention? Okay. Dan wants you to do a time and energy audit. Okay, I am constantly doing this and really successful people do this. Happy people, healthy people, thriving people. You're always looking at how you can be better, right? And so you want to list out everything, like literally just write a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start writing what you do each day, each week. What are the tasks? Okay, so you're gonna write out those tasks and don't even just write out tasks. Write out like time with your spouse, write out time doing the fun things that you're doing or activities that you did. Like write those out. Like maybe you went to soccer practice, maybe you went to the gym, maybe you read a book, maybe you had family dinner, maybe you had to go to the grocery store, commuting, okay? Like think of all the specific nitty gritty things, okay, that you're doing, even showering, whatever these things are, okay? And then you're gonna put over here what you value. Like, is this high value? Is this good? You can put the money sign on like, what is helping me? Like even checking email or social media, like scrolling or versus posting. Okay, obviously that's gonna be a different value, except if you're actually learning, you're not just scrolling, you're learning, that can be valuable too. So go through and put the dollar signs next to it. And then you can also do like the smiley face on what makes you feel good. And then you can figure out, okay, these things are helping me, because you don't know until you know. And you're like, even your bank account, you're like, oh, this subscription, I didn't even know I had that. Or, oh my gosh, we're spending like this much on groceries and it's groceries that aren't even that good. Or we're eating out this much and I care about my health and it's not helping my health. And we're spending $500 on eating out. Like, get rid of that, right? So you don't know unless you audit and see it. Go see it. All right, so I'm a teacher, so I'm gonna have us do our homework, right? And let's walk through it together. So a really important thing you need to figure out is your perfect week, okay? If you want an outcome, you have to know what outcome you want. It's so simple, but a lot of people don't know where they want to go. And so then they don't get there. Okay. So we need to know what we want. So the first thing you can do is this exercise of the perfect week. Okay. And so this is where you would write out all the things you love to do, all of the people you love to spend time with, anything. Okay. And you're literally just going to list like anything that comes to mind. So I would maybe say like, ooh, I want to have some smoothies every day. I love eating smoothies and fruit. I really want to go to the gym and exercise. Maybe I want to get a swim in. I want to play with my kids. I want to go to their practices. I would love to go, like, I love going to maybe it's a trampoline park or a museum with my kids, like the children's museum or something like that. I'd love to do an activity together. I would love to create content. I would love to serve. I want to spend time with my husband and have a date night. I want to, just list anything that is enjoyable to you. Reading. Okay, what are the things that you love to do that you would want in your perfect week? Okay, now you can start doing some of these things now. Even if you have a 9 to 5, even if your schedule is busy, I would challenge you to go, how can I do more of the perfect week items in my week now? Okay. And then go through what your week actually looks like, my current week. Okay. And so this is part of the auditing process. Like you can't change it if you're not aware. It's the same thing with your bank and your money and your systems, what you spend money on. So go through and go, what do I currently spend my time on? Or actually go and see the time blocks, like from 5 a.m. till 6. What am I doing? Am I sleeping? Okay. Could I wake up? Could I use this time in a better way? I even did this recently. I'm waking up way earlier and I'm switching around. Okay. I always did the gym, and I always played with my kids and spent time with them, but maybe I can alter my gym time to be earlier, and then I can open up more time for my kids in the afternoon after work, and we have like 6 or 7 hours together instead of, having this time, but then being broken up by the gym or something. I just get straight time with my kids and getting to spend that time with them, right? And so knowing where you want to be can help you to see what's wrong with your current week and how to change it. Some goals with your perfect week to think about, not just what you like, but you also want to think about buffer time. Okay. You want to think about energy optimization. Okay, this is super important. You want to think about eliminating bleed time, and I will explain all of these. You might be like, what is bleed time? That's so strange. And then spotting net time. Okay, we want to spot it and increase it. So we waste a lot of time. We do not want this buffer time unless it's intentional. So if you have something from 8 to 9 in the morning, but then you have from 9 to 11 off, and then you maybe have something from 11 to 11:30, but then you have 11:30 to 12 off. Like this buffer time adds up. So how can you get more strategic with either planning things in a different way, or also how can you then do something with that time? Rest can be productive, okay? Taking a quick exercise break can be productive. Taking a quick learning break can be productive. But there's all this time that like goes away. If all of these little chunks get added up throughout the day, that could be 4, 5, or more hours that you could use. And you're like, well, how much more time? Or why do some people get more done? They are very strategic about their time and their 24 hours, and they're constantly looking of how can we optimize it and make it better. So we want to get rid of the buffer time, move things around, or also be more strategic with it. Another part is optimizing for energy. Energy is huge, and I think this is a huge underrated thing. And so I talk about food, like food changed my life, eating a lot more fruit, smoothies, eating more plant-based, things like that, cutting out sugar, candies, sodas, all of that stuff, because it gives me more energy. And so like I could have all this time in the day, like I'm going to wake up at 5, 6, 7. Oh, I have like 2 hours in the afternoon where I can do stuff. But if you feel like crap, how are you going to get more stuff done? You're not. It's not going to happen, or it's not going to be good, right? And so we want to optimize for our energy, for our state. We want to take care of ourselves. We are the number one asset. So how can we best take care of ourselves? And so, a lot of people find that they're more morning people if you're an entrepreneur. And even if you're not, you can train yourself to be a more morning person. The earlier you start to wake up, and if you just do it, you're going to notice you're going to want to go to bed earlier, 9 or 10 o'clock, and then you're going to feel more rested and energized. So I challenge you to figure out what tasks give you the most energy. Make sure you do them. And then also, what are the hardest tasks? Maybe can you do them earlier in the day when you have more energy? The next part is bleed time. So when you plan your week, you want to have no bleed time. Okay. And so I don't like this time. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. So I like doctor's appointments. I have an appointment at 4 o'clock. I want to be seen at 4 o'clock. Some doctors I've gone to are great about it, especially like physical therapy. They've been great. 4 o'clock, I'm in, we're ready. They don't take me early, they don't take me late, they take me at 4. So I know if I show up at like 3:57, I can do whatever I needed to do. I come in, sign in, check in, use the bathroom, and then boom, they get me going. I go, and then I'm able to be done early. I optimize my time. But I've been to some where we didn't start till 4:15, but our time was at 4. That 15 minutes, I know it might seem small, but that all adds up. Sometimes we can't control that with a doctor's office or things like that, but respect your time. Respect it, and then you're going to get more out of it. And so stop allowing this bleed time. If a meeting is from 7 to 8, it's from 7 to 8. It's from 7 to 8. And so I know sometimes you can't control this, but maybe you can speak up if you're an employee or something. Speak up and advocate for yourself, or use your time wisely. And then this net time is, so you need to use this net time because it's very, very helpful. And Tony Robbins actually came up with this tactic. And so this is no extra time. I actually implemented this without even knowing about this, but Tony Robbins said, no extra time, no net time. And so say you do have to commute. Well, I do have to commute. Can you maybe take a bus or a train, and then you have the time and energy to read or get work done or something? Or I learned this from the Millionaire Fastlane. I would also, when I commute, now I listen to like a podcast, or I listen to my YouTube coaches, and I will get these special trainings in, like I'm getting a training done in the car. I used to listen to the radio about random songs. That's not helping. Sometimes music can help energize you, but be strategic. Stop having extra time, and if you have extra time, use it to help you. It doesn't mean you have to be boom, 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 boom. I have all these things and I never get a break. I'm so overwhelmed. No. Schedule this time in, but just be mindful. So these are super helpful and effective strategies. Use them. All right, another great strategy is batching. I have a YouTube video on this because it's so helpful, and it's like doing more than one. So instead of just doing one YouTube video, I might do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at a time, right? We wouldn't just make one chocolate chip cookie, call it the chocolate chip cookie method. We would make a dozen or 2 dozen or multiple dozens of cookies, right? And so there was actually this guy who did this intensive, and it was amazing. And he said, please write down, multitasking doesn't work. Okay? And so everyone wrote that down. Multitasking doesn't work. Okay. Then he asked them, can you do it again? Multitasking doesn't work. But this time, write another sentence. Now I really understand. Okay? Writing this sentence took 7 seconds. Writing this one took 7. This one took about 7, okay? But then he asked everybody, he said, okay, now instead of writing both sentences at the same time, you're gonna write the first letter of the first sentence, then you're gonna write the first letter of the second, then write the first letter, then write the second. Write the first letter, third letter, then write the next. And so you just go through and then go here, and then okay. And so you're supposed to just trade back and forth. And he's like, everyone was going nuts. And he's like, okay, guys, do you see why multitasking doesn't work? Do you see how ineffective that was? Like, that's what you're doing when you are not focusing on one thing, one target. When you're focusing on this, but then you're distracted here, then you're here, it does take longer. What took 7 seconds, or here 14 seconds, was taking 90 plus seconds or more by alternating the tasks. And so batch your tasks, but be focused on the one thing. Okay, so don't just do, okay, I'm going to do 5 YouTube videos, but then I'm going to do this in between. And oh, I need to also write an article, and then I need to go ahead and edit it in between. Like, no, focus on getting the 5 done, have everything prepared, have your scripts, record, go, and then we can work on batching something else. So be mindful. Batching is awesome, but then also be careful of multitasking. So many people say, I can do both. Even if you're like on your phone and listening to your partner or a friend or your child, like, you aren't fully focused on them, and it's not going to have the same connection as if you were just only talking to your partner, your friend, or your child. So be mindful of multitasking. It's not effective or efficient. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. If you are in personal development or something, you know this. We want to play life on offense. We want to be prepared. The reason we're doing this is not to make life horrible, but if you're strategic with your time, right, you're going to get better results. You can still be flexible and adapt and be creative within your system. If this is my system, I can then be creative and adjust and adapt. But you want to make sure you're getting what you need to done. Life doesn't just happen. These big outcomes and big goals don't just randomly happen. It is being intentional and putting in the work that gets you these results. So you really do want to plan. And the more you plan and the more nitty gritty you get, the actual better your life will be. And you can constantly audit it. Maybe you thought that doing something like going to the gym in the evening was going to be good, right? But then you realize, oh, I actually need to go in the morning. So you can adjust it. And then maybe that works for a season, and then you adjust it again. Like, be open to change, be open to growth, be open to always seeing how you can be better. One of my favorite things from Dan is a no actually equals a yes. And a yes actually equals a no. So what the heck does this mean? So when you say no to things that aren't going to help you achieve your goals, you're actually saying yes, right? And it can be tempting. It could be good things, but if it's not going to help you achieve your goals, your values, and what you need, you got to learn to say no. If you say yes, okay, to all these random things, you're not leaving enough time for your goals. And so saying yes is actually saying no to what you want. And so you don't want to say no to what you want, okay? And so no is saying yes. No is saying yes to what you want. So if people keep asking, hey, Elizabeth, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? If this is not helping me achieve and do these things, I need to get these tasks done to get my outcomes, then I have to say no to this. If someone asks me this and I'm still able to get these things done, sure, I'll do those too. But you have to protect your time, and it stinks. Like, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more energy, but you don't. And so a no is saying yes to your dreams, your goals, what really matters to you. And saying yes is actually saying no to what matters. So really protect it and be ruthless about this. It's very important. And you can always change, but use this well. Dan talks about dreaming big. So there's even more information on buying back your time, more specifically, like if you own a business or have a team. But I think I got through a lot of the core stuff that I really want you to know. If you want more, let me know. But let's talk about a few more things that I think can be really useful. So dream big. Most successful people say, even Robert Herjavec says when he started out, he was right here. The thing that prevented him from becoming a billionaire or becoming a billionaire faster and achieving these outcomes is that he didn't dream big enough. So you want to dream big enough, okay? If you're starting here, you're probably not even thinking you could get something like this, but that is where you have to start. You have to start thinking you can get bigger in your life. And so Dan wants you to dream without limits. Don't limit yourself. Don't be like, well, I don't know how to do this. No. Like, what are your dreams? I wanted to reduce the suffering in the world. I saw so much suffering. I always cared about kids. And then I realized so many adults were suffering and couldn't manage themselves, didn't have enough money, weren't healthy, all of those things. And so it affected their kids, and then their kids suffered because the adults were suffering and they didn't know how to handle themselves. So it's like, okay, I want to reduce suffering. And I had my own suffering too. How can I learn all these things, help myself, and then ultimately help more people and reduce the suffering in the world? Okay. And so if I was like, well, I'm still struggling with this, I wouldn't think that I could get bigger. I couldn't think that I could help millions of people. Okay. But I can. And so dream without limits. People talked about getting rid of all hunger, getting rid of all the trash in the world, like whatever it is, dream as big as you want. And Dan talks about this, and I wrote about this in my book, that you want to dream for you and maybe your family or friends and people, but when do you start thinking about others? And so maybe you're like, oh, I want this car, or oh, I would love to have time to do this, or I want to quit this job or whatever. But when do you start thinking about others? So dream without limits. Dream, because then you can create a clear vision. Like, oh, okay, what does my ideal day in week look like? Ooh, and like, what problems could I actually solve while I'm here on this planet? What impact can I actually have? Ooh, like, that's what I want to do. Okay, now I can create these actions and habits to get there. That's amazing. But an amazing thing that happens when we have these dreams and big goals and a clear vision, that eliminates a lot of our suffering and sadness and depression and stuff. Like, I knew I had so much potential inside of me, and I was miserable when I was just sitting there and like in my own head and in my own problems. But like, it helps drive innovation. It helps you to think of new ideas. It crushes distractions. It puts a fire in your bellies to wake up and to do the hard work, right? And so dream big. God put you here for a reason. And those dreams you have are not by mistake. Like, you have these goals for a reason. You want to eliminate these things, or I wanted to reduce suffering for a reason, right? And if you feel called to it, you're meant to it. So dream big, and the bigger your dream, the higher you will go. If you reach for the moon, you will land upon the stars, And so dream big. We need more dreamers, builders, people like this, and people willing to do the work. And that's what I'm here to support you to do. And that's what I feel called to do. When you can describe your future, this is your future, as well as your present, or even better, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. And you have a compelling vision. So we need something to carry us forward. If you are in a tough place right now, or even just an okay place, but you want to get here or get higher and get up here, up this mountain, it starts with the vision. It starts with the idea, the dream. Okay? And what is the end goal? Right? Because we're like, oh my gosh, like, I want to be fit and healthy and strong. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so happy feeling that way. But like, when you have that, it'll help you to be able to do all those hard things and eat the meals and go to the gym and do all these hard things along the way. Okay? So we need to have a compelling vision, because if you don't have a vision, you're going to either stay stuck in the present, and your past is going to actually fuel you forward. So we want to have a compelling vision of the future to create a better future. So One business or one thing. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're not. But what is the one thing that you're going to do to make money, to serve the world, etc.? Who's the team? Who do you want on your team? Who do you want in your corner? Whether it's people who are actually helping you build, your spouse, someone here. Your empire. Okay? What do you actually want? It's more than the business. It's more than that. Like, what are you actually here doing on this earth? And then the lifestyle. So what does this lifestyle allow you to do? What do you get to do each day? Kind of when we talked about Oprah and her schedule and she's reading, or Warren Buffett doing that and exercising and having this time. And then they're still having their business stuff or serving or their work or whatever, right? And so think about these things. Lastly, in life, we're going to have all these tasks and things we want. We need to identify what are the big rocks, what are the medium rocks, and what are the little rocks, okay? And in order to be most effective, we have to do these first. So what's the most important thing? Like if I need to record a YouTube video or have a script for a video in order to edit it and get it out, right? That would be the big rocks. So I would need to have my script and then actually record the video here. So script, video, like get it ready, get the idea, have it all ready, the research, etc. And then I would need to actually make the video, okay? And then have all this stuff set up, etc. Because then I can edit, then I can do the descriptions, then I can figure out all the other stuff, okay? And then I can post, etc. and, get feedback, right? So what are the big rocks in your life? We want to know that. What are the things that will make the biggest difference and will help you? Because you always want to do those things first. If you do these things first, it's going to make it complicated to fit these things in. If you've ever seen like a glass jar, they do this. They put the big rocks in, then you put your little ones, and then you can fill it in with all the little stuff. So big rocks first. What are your big rocks? Ultimately, we want to have 7 pillars for life. Okay, this is a little cheat sheet. So 7 pillars. We want health. Without it, you've got nothing. I've had some health issues, but that's okay. We're working on them, and that definitely makes a huge, huge impact in things. So health matters. Hobbies, okay? It can help you to decompress. It can help you to feel better, to enjoy your life. Spirituality, okay? Your faith, God, all those things, like being in touch with your spirit. Like if you have money, but you don't have some of these things, really, what do you have? Friends, don't drop the ball. Like keep your friends, keep the people who matter to you. It doesn't have to be a million people, but that's super important. Love, having love in your life, relationships, nurturing, like that's what life's about. I love my relationships. If I could just spend all my time there, I would. I do love serving as well, but love is the way. Finances, face the money. You have to have it. It is the tool that we need. We all need money to be able to do things that we want and to spend more time with the people and take care of our health, all of that. And then the mission, like the why. Why are we doing this all? So many successful people talk about the why. Why do we do what we do? Why? Because it's not easy. So when you're doing these things, I think I've done so many things like this in circles throughout this video, but I think it helps when we're doing all this stuff. Like it's hard, it's painful, it's miserable sometimes. But if we can focus on the why, the reason, like if I'm trying to reduce the suffering in the world and help more people, if I can help one person, but then I can help another person to improve themselves in their life or get more money or get richer, be happier, be healthier, treat their kids better, treat the people in their community better, treat their spouses better, treat these people better, treat themselves better, know their worth, know their value, go do the work, help them do the work, then they go and create impact, and then it's this domino effect. And I could just keep writing and writing and writing, and we domino into the world. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So find these things for you. What makes you feel good? How can you take care of your health? Find your spirituality, face yourself, know there's something bigger out there helping you. Friends, love, money, get the tool, and have a mission for your life. You got this. Cheering for you. That was Buy Back Your Time. If you want more videos or more information, let me know and follow the channel for more. You got this. One step at a time.